Having a growth mindset is a way of fostering curiosity. Curiosity is a continual learning, a thirst for knowledge, and that is definitely what curiosity is all about. Curiosity allows us to ask questions, and it's from those questions and the answers to those questions and finding the answers to those questions that we are going to make eventual progress. So it allows this movement. So where we're talking about learning as not being static, that what we've got is what we're born with and that we need to make that continual movement forward. Learning isn't static, it's not a fixed entity, it's always changing. So something that we find easy, something we find difficult will hopefully become easier with the more practice and learning that we do. So this era has posed many questions, so it's really fostering our curiosity, and some of those questions have been answered through time and experience, and some of those remain to be unanswered, and we've got to go through time in order to be able to look back and answer those questions. There are a lot of graphs and statistics that are being presented to us at the moment. So on the news, we are seeing graphs that are showing us the spread and how the spread is changing throughout the world, and within regions within our own country, so that we can make comparisons. And that is helping to answer some of the questions and the journey, looking at the journey that we're going on. Those questions and answers are helping to inform the decisions that are being taken to guide our behaviour at the moment to help our way through this. The problem is that we're right in the middle of this narrative that is kind of being formed. And it's only when we can step out of the narrative and look back that a lot of the questions that we want to be able to answer now, that we are going to be able to answer later on. And that will help us in the future if we hit similar situations that we need to answer questions to. So in that respect, we will be able to reflect on this problem and how it might help us to move forward in other problems. And that's already happened, really, because a lot of the things that are known and the kind of testing and the looking for vaccines that are already happening can only happen because there are certain countries, or about 35 different countries, that are working with genetic material that was put on the World Health Organization platform about SARS, because there's very close links between what we're going through now, the virus now, and the SARS pandemic. So we are asking a lot of questions. We want to know as a society what things are going to help us to get through this. What can we do personally? How is the virus spread? Who can catch the virus? There's a lot of things. You just have to look at the questions that are being posed on the frequently asked questions on the government website about coronavirus to see how many questions are being asked, and some of those can be answered, and some of those not with so much certainty, because we're still looking for those answers. So we're getting a gradual understanding of the virus, and actually, as a country, maybe we are starting to understand a little bit more about viruses and how impacting they can be for society. I even found myself looking at the word pathogen, for example, on Google, because I've got an interest in how viruses spread, which I didn't necessarily really think about before. So our curiosity about viruses has been ignited, and maybe we've got some youngsters who are kind of watching a little bit about what's going on and seeing the impact of all these graphs and this information, and why we're having to do what we're having to do, and the importance of washing hands. So we have to take positives from that as well. They've been talking about an exit strategy, which I know a lot of the kind of experts are not wanting to think of it as an exit strategy. I guess that sounds a bit too simplistic, because there's no hard and fast planning for how we are going to get out of this, and its exit kind of suggests like a finality to, you know, once we've got out of this, we've got out of this, and we've got to be really careful that we do it in a gradual way so that there are not huge repercussions from that. So we don't know how this story is going to end, and that can be a bit of an uncomfortable place to be. But hopefully a more optimistic way of looking at it is about thinking how this chapter in our lives ends and where we will come out at the end of that chapter. But unfortunately for many people, the sad case is that it is the end of the story for them, and that's just hugely tragic. My heart goes out to anybody whose friends or family have been affected by this. Our ability as human beings to be curious and answer questions is what is going to get us through this. And some of the people that have already tragically passed away were starting to maybe find out or be part of our journey of finding out about this virus. There are also lower levels of sort of curiosity that are not so, you know, at the top of the end of the chain of this. But, you know, my curiosity about how I'm going to get through the next week finding entertainment for my 3-year-old daughter, you know, questions like that we're all probably finding our own ways of trying to answer questions to help us get through this. And I'm also wondering about the children that I teach. How are they going to be affected when we return to a normality? How are they going to have been affected by this? And I'm hoping that they might have considered how growth mindset the world is having to be at the moment, because this is growth mindset in practice. And that's what the teaching of mindset and trying to live our classrooms in a growth mindset way is all about. This is it in action, and it doesn't just happen in the classroom. It happens every day to every single one of us. So I'm curious about what the costs are going to be. Like we all are, what are the negative things that are going to have happened that we will have to work ourselves through? And also, what will the positives be that we can reflect on? Because there will have been maybe some questions answered that will help to push us in new directions. And it'll be interesting to see where that journey takes us. But one thing's for sure, is our curiosity is going to have a little bit of patience to work that story out.